Cargo Lambda, it is a framework for building tools and workflows for Rust AWS Lambda. Let's talk about the benefits. First up, we have Rust performance. Cargo Lambda allows you to write AWS Lambda functions in Rust. This is going to give you amazing performance, low cold start times, and also the ability to leverage all of the modern compilation features of the Rust language. Next up, we have type safety. Rust has a strong type system, and this is going to help you catch errors at compile time, and this will make your code have less runtime errors in production. And this is really what we care about with the long term, or essentially building something that's going to be easy to maintain, is to use a language that has a strong type system. Memory safety is another key feature of Rust. The Rust ownership model prevents many common bugs. For example, a null pointer dereference, also data races without a garbage collector are things that are eliminated. Next up, we have easy deployment. So Cargo Lambda is able to simplify the process of building, the process of testing, and the process of deploying Rust functions to AWS Lambda. And this is something that is easy to dismiss, because when you're first building Lambda, you may think that, oh, well, I can just use this interactive terminal or this interactive development environment to build, let's say, Python or Ruby or Node code. But the problem is, once you start to get into packaging, it becomes very complex, and there's many hoops that you have to jump through in order to deploy code. Because Rust has modern binary-based features where the binaries are optimized and cross-compiled, Cargo Lambda is able to tap into that to make it very trivial. In fact, deployment is probably one of the strengths of Rust on AWS Lambda across many other strengths. If we look at the next feature here, it's local testing. It's going to provide tools for running and debugging Lambda functions locally before you deploy. And this is also critical, because if your development environment is very complex to set up and it's very complex to prototype, you're not going to have as a robust of a serverless function. But because Cargo Lambda allows you to easily run and debug the Lambda function locally, it's a huge benefit. Also, there's custom runtime. So Cargo Lambda will leverage the AWS Lambda Rust runtime, and you can optimize it for the unique things that Rust can actually do in terms of performance. We also have the ecosystem integration. So it's easy to integrate with other AWS services in the broader Rust ecosystem. So this is also a very powerful combination, because we know that Rust is a up and coming modern compiled language that has many features that older languages that maybe have 30, 40 years of history don't have. You're able to tap into this newness, plus combine that with many of the unique features of AWS. That synergy is actually very important, and in fact could emerge in a way that is very rare, in that you're able to take the best of both Rust and also AWS. If we look at resource efficiency next, it is able to leverage Rust's natural low memory footprint. And this is also maybe the second highest factor here, that's a stealth factor that people are not aware of, is that because you're charged by memory, Rust itself is probably the optimal way to deploy cost-effective data engineering pipelines. And in fact, if you compare it to other languages, it could be, let's say, 70, 80% less memory than Python. Also, we have cross-compilation support. It's easy to build a Lambda function for different architectures. And this is also amazing in terms of cost performance as well, because you could target ARM, which could significantly save you cost over a high-performance Lambda function. Finally, let's wrap this up with productivity. Because Cargo Lambda is able to streamline the development workflow for Rust, it allows you to leverage all of these powerful features, but it actually saves you time, doesn't increase the time. So in many ways, this is effectively a silver bullet, because you get the benefits of the cost, the benefit of the performance, but you also get the benefit of a faster workflow to develop. Depending on what it is you're doing, you may find that it's actually much easier to work with Cargo Lambda than with Python, Ruby, or Node when you're developing serverless functions.